How do we navigate that when it gets challenging, when life gets lifey, stressful, we're up against it, or there's celebrations, or there's pressure from friends and family, or there's Christmas, or there's, the whole thing. How do we navigate that? How do we stick to what we know we want for ourselves when things get tough? Emotional eating, when you might automatically turn to food for that comfort, for that reward, for that pleasure. But what doesn't work is telling yourself, I can't have chocolate, got to quit chocolate, got to quit sugar, got to quit alcohol. Just telling yourself you can't have it doesn't work. So we're going to talk about the strategies that do work. I know we've touched on it this week, but we're going to focus on that today. Let me see. Who would like to share any past experience or any challenges around food relationship, food psychology, emotional eating, eating for convenience, social pressures, or any of the things we've talked about so far? What's your experience and what are your challenges?
I always reach for the chocolate. That's my completely addicted to chocolate. And I noticed this particularly the day my brother died. I just went out and bought a great big box of chocolates and ate my way entire through them that evening. It was like anything goes. And that's what I always reach for, chocolates.
Absolutely. And it's very common, isn't it? And so much love to you for that situation. And we do tend to do it, don't we? And why do we do that? Why is it chocolate that we turn to when we feel we need something? Let me see if I
I
can
don't know, and it even gives me migraines or
Isn't it
very bad
funny?
headaches, but I
Even
still have it.
even though we know what the
Yeah,
impact is, we
yeah,
still do it.
yeah.
What I think is going on there is when we were little, chocolate was such a treat, wasn't it? Such a treat. It was a gift of love, very often from mum or auntie or family, or it meant Christmas or it meant Easter. And chocolate was that gift to make things better.
Yeah, I'd never seen it like that before. I've never seen it like that before. And yet, when I was at boarding school, 2 sweets a day, 6 sweets on Sundays, locked up in a big tuck cupboard. And after your lunch, you went and queued up to get your tuck out of this great big tuck cupboard. But you couldn't just have what you wanted. You had to hold your hand out with what you would argue was just 2 sweets. It was a bit of a chopped up Mars bar. You'd be arguing with the house mistress about how much of it represented 2 sweets. And so it was exactly that. It was this incredible luxury that was a treat. Yeah, it was an absolute
Absolutely.
comfort when you were
Absolutely.
away from your family and no mobile phones. And there you were at school, never seeing anyone, and that was your comfort. I'd never seen it like that before. Forgotten all about
Boom, light bulb
that.
moment.
Yeah.
Anybody else resonating with this? Yeah. So it's a luxury, or it was, not so much now, but it was a
Mm.
luxury. It was a treat. It was comfort. It was love in some cases, a gift of love, Valentine's Day. And also, even if it's not just chocolate, food is a gift of love. Even from our ancestors, even evolutionarily speaking, food was precious, right? And it would have been gifted as love or to the needy, so we can't escape this, that nourishment is associated with love and comfort and luxury in many cases. So because of those associations, now that in our modern world where chocolate is so cheap, it's the cheapest comfort you can buy.
Mm. Mm.
But the
It's not if it's Lent.
Oh, Elizabeth's got a very good point. The good quality stuff's not cheap, right?
£3 a bar now. I remember when it was
Yeah.
about £1, not so very long ago.
But even so, if you think about the expense of having a spa day or a massage or even to go and get your nails done,
Yeah.
something more nurturing, it's cheap relative to that, even the good stuff. So when I say cheap, it's no wonder, pretty much everybody can afford to go and buy the chocolate that they like without worrying about how that affects their bank balance. The problem with it is we think that it's going to comfort us. We think that it's going to maybe subconsciously, maybe we're not logically thinking that is going to solve our problems, but certainly subconsciously, there is this, oh, I'm going to have that to solve my problems. Give me a better day. Make me feel loved. I feel comforted. But actually, the problem with it is, it doesn't actually help, does it? I mean, if it does make you feel comforted, or if it does give you a sense of reward or a sense of pleasure at the very least, how long does that actually last? When we're feeling down, is this on the program that I coach, we call it reward repatterning. So it's a positive thing. But when that's not working, and when we're trying to use chocolate as a sticking plaster, we're trying to use chocolate to comfort ourselves, and we're looking for something in the chocolate, that's more what I'm talking about. And of course, we usually find that it's disappointing. And then we go for more. And it's like, and when we're left with, like, sometimes we're left feeling worse because now we've eaten a whole chocolate bar and we hadn't intended to. Yeah, Vita. And so where we were looking to feel better, now we're starting to feel maybe a bit sick, maybe a bit guilty, maybe a bit of regret, because now we've had, perhaps it's all the calories from a chocolate bar. We didn't really need them. We were trying to avoid it. And there's all this emotional stuff going on as well. But even worse than that is if we're depending on the chocolate or the treat food, whatever it is, to actually change an emotional state that needs attention.
Yeah.
So what kind of emotional states could those be? I'll just share a food. I'll just share a slide. I was looking at my slide. There's food on the slide. Let's just share this just for a visual. So, for example, then, what are your typical go-tos? We've talked chocolate to death now, but what about the other things? So it could be that cup of coffee as a treat. Yeah, the cup of coffee and a cake as a treat. Can't go to a coffee shop unless I have a sticky toffee latte and a cake. So it's that association. Oh, coffee shop. Let me tell you a little bit about associations, little story. Anybody have done anything like that? Something that you just do habitually. So it could be that Friday night takeaway. Or it could be every time I go to a certain event, we open a bottle of wine. Or it could be every time I go to choir, I always have a biscuit or 3. Every time there's nothing in the fridge, I always go to the chip shop. You know, what is it for you? Is anything coming up with associations? Yeah, Deborah.
Yeah, the biscuits at choir, definitely.
Yeah.
And also, when you were talking about the films, I have sort of broken this habit, but, well, not going to the cinema. If I go to the cinema, I have to have popcorn. But if I'm at home, I used to have popcorn at home too. I don't go for the butter kissed. I only go for the, salt and sweet and salty one. So it's not quite as bad as if it was butter kissed every time.
But it's like a rule, isn't it?
But it is kind of a rule. But we don't do it so much at home now. And crisps is another one with that. Watching a film, it's crisps,
absolutely,
popcorn, or you name it, and then biscuits at choir.
Some really classic ones there. And that Friday night, the film, for me, it was Thai sweet chili sensations. And I used to tell everybody they're the best crisps in the world because I was addicted to them. And chili is addictive. And also they got sugar in, so that's addictive too. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having these traditions and these rituals, unless you've got a problem with it, unless it's impacting on your symptoms, your weight, etc., etc. Then we do have a problem with it, right? And so just awareness of some of these things is the start. This is where it starts. So there's associations, there's comfort and reward, but there's also celebration. So every single birthday, you can't have a birthday without a cake. Can you? You can't have a birthday without a cake. We celebrate with sugar. All our associations now have got food industry links. So Easter, just think about it. Did anyone pop to the shops on Christmas Eve? Easter eggs in the shops. I went at last minute, Asda, Easter eggs, Christmas Eve. I'm like, I'm on to them now. I know exactly what their game is, because it makes us think that we have to start buying Easter eggs because we need to be organized. So it just makes us buy more chocolate. So it's the occasion thing, it's the association, it's the celebration, not to mention things like the social side of it. So, you know, what is it for you? For me, it was my whole life was my social life before I had kids. It was everything to me, pub meals, because meeting with friends meant pub, and pub meant alcohol and food. How can you get away from that? I just didn't know. I just didn't know how. I now know how to do social life without a lot of rubbish food and alcohol. I didn't know back then. So it's all this whole thing, isn't it? So it's all piling on top of us. So let's have a look at some strategies. Okay. I am going to share that. And then I'm going to skip ahead because you've seen these slides before. So here's a slide about mastering your food relationship. And these are the exact steps that I guide people through. But if you can take something away from this, please do. Number one, it's really important to get clear on what you want. And doing that at the surface level is not enough. Because how many times have you said, this year I want to be slimmer, absolutely want it, really, really, really want it. And you know all the reasons why, and it's not enough. It's important to go deeper. So we do an exercise called the Big Why, and keeping your Big Why close to your heart is really important right as you go through this. You need to be guided through this exercise, which is getting deeper and deeper until you find we call it the 5 whys. We go to we uncover the root, not the root cause, but the root of that desire. And it's really profound when you get to the root of that desire. So I wonder if we could do that exercise for somebody now. Who would like to share their big why for wanting to make some changes this year? Vita, shall we do the work? So what is your general answer? Why is it you're here? Why is it you want to change?
Because I'm 64 and I feel older than friends who are 84. My body in so many different ways is breaking down. I can barely walk now with osteoarthritis, got type 2 diabetes, fatty liver disease, the things like I said, like taking the omeprazole for acid reflux,
So
fatigue, depression, you name it.
A whole host of pain points.
A whole host of pain points and emotional pain points as well. You know, just hardly able to get off the sofa and just, yeah, had enough. Need to do something. And yet I see my friend Angela, the lovely Angela that we've heard about before, and here's just roughly the same age as me, and she's just got so much energy and so much life. And I think I want a bit of that. And I think she was more like me before she went through your program. And I want to be like that.
Oh, I love that. That's so meaningful already. And that's where it starts. So if we could put this in a single sentence, I want things to change because
I want to be healthier and more energetic and able to do all the things that I want to do.
I want to be healthier and more energetic and able to do all the things I want to do. Great. That's top level. Next level. Why is it you want to be healthier and more energetic and do all those things?
Because I'm bored sitting here without being able to do them. It's depressing.
So you're feeling depressed and bored, and that doesn't feel good.
No.
So if you could achieve the more energy, the more vitality, ease those symptoms, release some weight, How would that feel?
Fantastic.
And let's go to that level. And what would that do for you?
It would mean I could go and do the things that I can't currently do. And I wouldn't have to be frightened of going to see my doctor.
Ooh, there's another one. So if more than one thing comes up, you could do a thread on each one. But let's do the whole thing. So if you could do more of the things you love and not be so frightened about going to see the doctor, what would that do for you?
I think I would feel much lighter and happier.
Happier. And if you could be more energetic and not be afraid of going to the doctor and be happier, what would that give you?
Without being too personal, a reason to live, not feeling like we're sitting here waiting to die. I hope that isn't oversharing. Sorry.
Send in love, darling. And yeah, sometimes I get hearts when I do that. There we go. Send in love. So the reason I went like this is what this exercise does. Is after about 5 whys, sometimes we go a few more. Didn't need to go any deeper this time. Somebody will come up with something that's so profound, like it's my reason to live, or it's my legacy. It's the way out. It's the example I want to set my children, my young people.
I think well, I don't have children. I lost all my children in miscarriages, and I think for me, I see people around and they have families and they have. I know it's not always easy having children. I do understand that, but I do think it gives you a sense of legacy and looking forward to life and living life almost vicariously as you get older. But I don't have that. So what my life is what I do, not what other people are doing. So if I'm sitting on the sofa, I have no life. So that's what I want. I want to start living again.
They couldn't have chosen a better example. This is so deep and so meaningful. Thank you so much for sharing this. So the final question is, so why is this important? And why now?
For life, and because if I carry on the way I am, I won't be able to walk again. I won't. Your liver disease can't be reversed after a certain point. I know I can reverse my type 2 diabetes if I'm consistent. All the things that are breaking down in my system, almost fortunately for me, they're almost all reversible. I don't have anything which can't be reversed, but it won't be reversible if it carries on like this. So if I could do it now before it gets worse, that would be fantastic.
Amazing. Anybody else resonating with this? Yeah. So there's so much there. And I am, as you know, we've had a one-to-one. I am so excited to be hopefully welcoming you to the 90-day program. I can't wait to see exactly what happens on this, because I know that pretty much everything on your list can be improved. So this is very exciting. And I know you're excited too.
I am.
And we're all excited for you. And just how wonderful that you've recognized that something needs to change. And I'm just so happy that the universe connected you and me, so that I believe that we have, I don't want to say have the answer, but you know what I mean, the next step. Thanks so much for sharing. So can everybody see how powerful that big why exercise is? Okay. So let's just do a couple more slides and then we'll wrap up. So the next one is more practical, because this is not just about, we're focusing on food relationship, but it's vital that we learn which foods nourish and which foods deplete. Because do you remember the 6 human hungers? So let's just come back to the psychology, right? So it's food relationship, but it does start with knowing which foods nourish and also which foods deplete. Because if we're accessing foods that drain us and spike our blood sugars, well, that's going to make the whole emotional eating and the whole thing harder to manage. So it's vital to tackle cravings at the root, and that is all the 6 human hungers and emotional hunger as well. So emotional hunger it's not an overnight fix. It's not something we can fix by just saying, right, off you go, drink more water. That's not one dealt with. Emotional hunger is much, much deeper. It's a program of self-discovery. And we really can't begin to tackle that until we've got all the other hungers ticked off. So once we have got you properly nourished, properly hydrated, blood sugar is stable, then we can start to talk about what's coming up for you in terms of emotional needs. Now, we're not going to fix all the problems of life on this program, but actually having that new light shining directly on the problem rather than avoidance can be a game changer. When we look at it in an objective way, we say, right, what is it that I'm lacking? Not what is the problem? What was the life problem I'm trying to fix? Money, relationships, challenges, work, whatever it is. But what is the emotional need that's coming up for me as a result of this situation? And how can I nourish that emotion? So we talk a lot about self-care. We talk a lot about self-soothing. We talk a lot about activities that nourish. Okay, so this takes us several weeks, and it's a continual improvement, but we can't do that while we're stuck trying to fix our problems with chocolate and cake. Okay, so that is a big part of this journey. Guilt. Let's talk about guilt. So what do we do instead? So instead of that mental chatter that I just went through, instead of that, we replace that with interesting. What is it I just did? What is it I've just had? I had a whole packet of chocolate, or I had a whole packet of cake, whatever it was. Interesting. I encourage you to be scientist, get out your journal, put on your lab coat, metaphorically speaking, and observe without judgment. Cause and effect. What did I do? How do I feel? How is it impacted in my body? What is the outcome? What are the consequences? How do I feel about that? This is all prefrontal cortex reasoning, intellectual reasoning. By doing this kind of work, we're engaging. Has anybody ever read the chimp paradox? Yeah, chimp paradox. We're going from chimp to human. We're engaging rational reasoning, intellect. And that is where we stop behaving within our subconscious, and we start taking control of our responses. And that is a game changer. So we're replacing guilt, judgment, regret, shame, all that disappointment with objective reasoning. And it is an absolute game changer. So that's one of the key things that is so important in creating lasting change, not just with food, with life. Would you agree? Getting objective, getting clear, getting conscious, getting into problem solving rather than victim. Huge part of this. The next thing we've talked about, addressing emotional eating. So let's just start to wrap up with this then. Now, I know we've done Big Why with Vita, and I hope that you were all going through this with your own Big Why. But how would it feel to be at peace with food? Because now we all know and understand that our food relationship is the key to easing our symptoms, improving our energy, longevity, overcoming or reducing our risk of those long-term chronic ailments, reversing many of them, high blood pressure, diabetes, all kinds of things can be, as Vita already knows, can be reversed. Some can be prevented, some can be improved, right? We won't never know quite what improves, but you will find out. But even in terms of just a peaceful relationship with food, the stress-free, that didn't have this constant food noise and chatter and guilt and should I be eating this way and confusion and overwhelm. But if it was just simple, how would that feel? To just love eating for health and feeling empowered. So that is the huge benefit when it comes to food relationship. And that's my number 4. So on the program that I coach, we already know it delivers more energy. We know it delivers symptom improvements. We know it delivers weight release. But number 4 is that lasting, healthy relationship with food that just feels effortless. How would that feel? Would anybody like to share? How would that feel? So, Caroline.
Yeah, this is all really interesting. and still thinking it all through. I'm like the opposite of a foodie. I don't have much appetite, and I often just put off eating as long as I can. I just don't really want to eat very much. And I don't look like it. I look like I live on cake, which is a bit bizarre.
Self-judgment kicking in there, Caroline.
Well, I don't know, but so I'm just thinking through that maybe eating more healthily means eating more rather than less, in order to, I don't know, kick off my metabolism and get it working. So it would be quite nice just to be able to, when you're out and there's a lunch or whatever it is, just to be able to eat it rather than avoiding eating it and just eating the grapes or something.
Exactly.
And just, not wanting to eat things is more of a problem.
Exactly.
But then you often end up eating something stupid because that's the only thing you can eat.
Because you've deprived yourself, you've gone hungry, you're not nourishing your nutritional hunger. And it's all, I hear it all the time. We're trying to eat less because we've been conditioned. Oh, we got to eat less because we're all overweight. Eating less does not work. It starts with eating more. Now, if I told everybody you can lose weight by eating more, my name would be mud, because it doesn't actually work quite as simply as that. It's eating more of the right stuff. And in the right order. Because there will come a point where, yes, we start with adding in really healthy nourishment, but there does come a point where we need to swap some things out as well. That's the bad news. Actually, it's the good news, because the things that we're swapping out are the things that are causing our problems. So yeah, it's a new take, isn't it, Caroline? It's an interesting take on it. It's spinning it all on its head. And that's why it works and is sustainable, and other things just don't. So yeah, I find it fascinating. Thank you for sharing. So final few slides now, and I should be ending on time. We can certainly fit in some questions, but I just wanted to showcase. So this is Wendy. Yes, weight loss, but she didn't join for weight loss. She joined because she had hip pain and she wanted to avoid surgery. But what I love about what Wendy said was learning to nourish the 6 types of human hunger, the six hungers, and to eat in the natural food seasons that I talked about yesterday have become invaluable lifelong learnings for me. And as a result of that, my thoughts around food and her food mindset in general, and the way she eats, has permanently changed. That's the difference, is when you learn these strategies have been designed and developed over the last 12 years, plus behavior change psychology for forever, that losing judgment and everything. Marcus Aurelius, right? Big fan. So this program puts all those strategies into one kind of wrapper. So there's the lovely Wendy. Lots on this, I'm sure.
Sue, can I just interrupt you?
Of course.
I missed yesterday, unfortunately, and I was waiting for the recording, but do you have a particular link for the seasonal foods?
You're very welcome. Thanks for asking the question. I'm going to wrap it up, darlings. So I just wanted to give you a couple more success stories and the final slide, which is the information on the program. Ollie, the healthier relationship with food is the particular point I want to draw your attention to. The overall sense of well-being and the optimism I have for the future, a much better understanding and connection with my body, knowing exactly what it needs. This program has given me total food freedom. I don't obsess over food like I used to, and I no longer feel guilty about eating something, even if it's not ideal. I just listen to my body and move on. Now, Ollie's results were about joint pain and stiffness, debilitating joint pain and stiffness. But look at the quote that she gave in her exit questionnaire. It's just so profound about the whole food relationship piece. My 90-day health transformation and food freedom program, or I called it weight release program for yesterday, and I duplicated. It starts on the 26th. And you are welcome to explore this with me on a call. I've put the link in the chat. There's a QR code there. You can just reach out to me in whichever way you know how. And book on a call. It's completely no obligation. It's very friendly. It's not a hard sales pitch or anything like that. It's just a two-way conversation, one-to-one with you, to find out whether you think this is a good fit for you and for me to find out whether I think that, you know, this, that you're ready for this.